Hi, welcome to the top 10 video for Avatar spoilers. Now, I have two sets of honorable mentions, so 6 cards in total, plus a lot of bangers, I think, in this actual set. I don't know if this is going to be labeled as one of the most strongest sets for a very long time, and kind of like a Pioneer staple set. But there's a lot in this set that I'm actually excited for, even though I'm not a huge Universe Beyond fan. But I do have to, I can't lie that I like the callbacks to cards from the past that I really like, making a little bit of a, showcase here. So, first page. So we have 2 different shrines. We have a full new playset of shrines coming to, Pioneer. So that means we have 5, 5, 5. We have 15 different options plus additional 5-color one. So we have plenty of ways. Maybe if we could set up shrines in Pioneer. I like Northern Air Temple because it is like the other black one. It's a 1-drop, I believe. There's also a white one. I think it's a 1-drop. And it just comes down and drains for X. X is based on the number of shrines you control. Then after it's down, every other shrine drains for 1. So pretty sweet there. Plaza, pretty decent ramp shrine. Comes down and gets you X amount of, basics based on how many shrines you control. Then every other shrine that comes down, you get another basic. And cruelty. Now this one you might be surprised about, but back in the old day when I started, Alara Reborn, we had a card called Blightning, which was 3 damage plus discard 2. So to me, this has a kind of a sweet callback to that card. Regrettably, it's 1 less damage, but I'm just gotta take it, right? I'm kind of happy with that. It's been a long time since we had this kind of effect, Blightning. Sadly, we don't have a Bloodbraid Elf because it got banned in the format. Now, what do I like about this card? For one, we have a lot of cards in the format from Strixhaven that tutors up lessons. In certain matchups, if you face control, you might want to just put this in your sideboard. Then you have access to it at all times. So if you face control, you play like the little Twitch guy that you just dies, you get this card, and on 3, your third land turn, you kind of just make them discard 2 and take 2. Good effect against control. So this is a nice little sideboard card if possible. Plus, it has utility if you want to play a main board. It's better than Mind Rot, of course. Is it better than Go Blank? That's a good question. Sadly, this doesn't say 2 damage to any target, and they discard 2. That would be kind of funny. It would be a lot stronger. But like I said, I like the callback to Blightning, so I am happy with this for sure. So next round of honorable mentions, since I do like shrines. Now, if you know anything else about me, I do love 2 other types of strategies, and they're both on this page. First of all, I love ramp. We have never had a rampant growth in Pioneer. Look out, we do now. It's a lesson. Comes down, you cast it, you get a basic land of any color, put it to play Dapt. So this really does help Eldrazi's, because Eldrazi's is technically a 2-color deck, tries to be, because it plays a little bit of a red splash, the sweeper effect. So that way it could stay alive against aggro. So in that regard, it's nice to be able to play 1 single mountain, get it out with this, and you're kind of good. We also have Price of Freedom, which is 2 mana. Switch our artifact or land, they get a basic. You draw a card. Pretty sweet effect. Sadly, it says only an opponent controls, so you can't just try to target your own land. So in that regard, you can't have additional 4 copies of the old one, so that's kind of sad. But overall, I'm happy with it because I do play Red Ponza in Pioneer, and I kind of wanted another playset of that card. And in that deck, I was not playing the indestructible lands, so it doesn't really matter because I was trying to target my opponent. And for this to be able to hit an artifact has a little bit more upside than the other one, which only hits lands. Other to note, this Celestis Revelations, 2 and a red. Exile top card of your library until you exile a non-land. Cast that without paying its mana cost. If its mana value is less than or equal to the number of mountains you control, If you don't cast it, put it in your hand. Pretty interesting effect. I'm not sure what you could do with this in Pioneer. So, like, I guess if you had Oops All Lands, I don't know how you do it. It'd be very weird. You could have 4 copies of Celestius Revelations in one other card. I don't know how that actually pans out. Right? Because if you can cast this into itself, means you can cast it again because you have 3 mountains. Then you can go for something else. So there is that possibility, I guess. You could technically just chain these things. I don't know how good that would be. Because if you had 4 plus something else that you're trying to use to win the game, that could be a legit thing. I don't know. Let's get into the top 10. Like I said, this is where my favorite stuff is. Even though I don't think it's the best cards in the set. But I do love this card, and the shrines. Like, I love shrines, and I love ramping, and I love land destruction. So for that case, this is a very good set for me. Let's get into the top 10. So number 10 is South Pole Voyager. 1 and a white. Whenever this creature, another ally you control enters, you gain 1 life. If it's the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card. So it's card draw, potentially in your ally deck. And a lot of the time, you're playing probably a lot of tokens. So it's probably very likely the first time this procs, it's probably going to be right away, right? Because you get about 4 allies at once. The second one will sproc, draw a card. So it's a pretty good effect, gains life. Plus, like I said, it's card advantage against sweepers and stuff like that. So if you do go wide, they sweep half the board. At least you drew 2 to 3 cards off of this, which could help you stabilize against other matchups. Number 9, Boiling Rock Rioter. So this is 2 and a black human rogue ally, firebending 1. I don't know if the firebending matters, but you can tap an ally you control, exile a card from a graveyard. So this is a very good hate piece out of the board for allies in this card in Pioneer. We do have some allies from a previous set long time ago. The allies from Battle for Zendikar, I think, around that time period. So you could combine these 2 together, make it maybe a decent ally deck and Pioneer. I don't know if we have all of them on Arena. If we don't, that'd be kind of sad, right? Especially since you are teasing us with all these cards on Arena. If you didn't give us the other allies, that'd be kind of sad. But whenever this creature attacks, you may cast an ally spell from among the cards you exile with this creature. So you could technically tap an ally, exile an ally from your graveyard, and recast it later with this. Which is it's a good thing to have, right? So if they remove it, you get to cast it on your attack, so the firebending can help with the attack trigger. So I think this is actually a pretty good card. This is your kind of graveyard hate for allies, 5-color allies. So you should probably pick it up. It's probably pretty decent out of the board. Number 8 is Earthen Ally. It's a green for 0/2. This creature gets +1, +0 for each color among allies you control. So like your 5-color ally deck, this is a 1-drop that's a 5/2 that has a potential late game mana sink, which I don't think it's ever going to happen in a game of Pioneer. But if you ever manage to, I guess, technically pay 7 and Earth Bend 5, I don't know why this is technically 7. Let's be honest here, it probably would have been fine if it was just Urborg. Let's be honest there, right? I mean, the additional 2 generic probably is not necessary for this, especially for a 7 mana for a 5/5, right? Land. So overall, this is a pretty good ally. You're definitely going to want a good 1-drop ally in your 5-color allies. So I really like this as a card. I think this will definitely make the cut. We'll see if we can actually assemble a decent ally deck in this format for Pioneer. It just depends on if I have the wild cards. So if you want to help the channel out, you can always consider. There's a PayPal. There's whatever you want to do. Watch my videos actually. Then I get to get ad revenue faster. So please help the channel if you're interested by just watching videos. That definitely goes a long way helping. Number 7 is Enter the Avatar State. It's a single white. At the end of the turn, target creature you control becomes an avatar in addition to its other types. It gains flying, first strike, lifelink, and hexproof. This is an absolutely insane card. So if you know anything about my channel, like I have played a decent amount of heroic, and this is kind of the best protection spell. Me, probably, right? Because it has lifelink and hexproof. Those are the two keywords I think that matter. And the reason being, right? Because you are an aggro deck. You do a lot of damage. Now, the issue is if your opponent also is an aggro deck, then you're kind of like bumping and you're trying to figure out who gets the advantage when it comes to the actual clock. Having lifelink matters, especially when it comes to the clock. So if you're hitting for like 5 with lifelink, you're gaining 5. Your opponent's probably, you're going to have a better chance of winning that game. So I like the lifelink. I like the hexproof to protect your threat. So this is probably the best, I would say, 1-drop protection spell in Pioneer now. So let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree. I do think it's really good. I think it's up there. And I probably will be playing Heroic this season because I do think it's a very, very, very good card. So let's get number 6 on my list. Zaho the Moonslayer. 1 in a red, 2/2 menace, non-basic lands are entered tapped. So a really good effect here. So on 2 mana, we could play this down, make them basically always have tap lands, and then we could Field to Ruin them. So pretty good there. Also played the target, the land destruction spell we talked about earlier, plus the other one. So we could play this into follow up potentially a 2-drop or whatever, and just kind of out tempoing our opponent by making their lands always ETB tapped, potentially, unless it's I guess mono red technically has mostly basics. But is it Phoenix doesn't, Control doesn't really have that many basics. Rakdos Demons don't play that many basics. There's a lot of matchups where you're just like kind of happy with this, right? Making their non-basics ETB tapped as you potentially work your way towards making all their non-basics into mountains. Overall, I'm very happy with this card. This is a card I'm excited about trying. I don't think it's going to be like overly powerful, but I'm definitely excited about playing it. Let's get number 5 on my list. Number 5 is Great Divide Guide. 1 in a green. Each land and ally you control has tap, add 1 mana of any color. This is absolutely crazy. This is definitely going to be a staple in your ally deck. And I think you're definitely going to be excited about this. So this is probably the primary reason that your ally deck is going to be competitive. At least from the set. There's a decent amount of good cards in the set. I'm just not sure how good they're going to be in the actual meta because a lot of them are 4 mana, 5 mana allies. So like 3 mana is probably your top of the, least what I would feel comfortable with regarding it as a top 10 card. Probably from a set, unless the set's very weak. Most of the time, usually Pioneer is much more mana efficient than we comes compared to standard. So like having a 2-drop, 2/3 fine rate, plus this is also the mana dork. So the next turn it taps for a mana, so that way you could get 2 extra allies down and kind of snowball. So overall, this definitely is a very, very good card. Plus, like I said, it allows you're not just tapping for green, tapping for any color. So next on my list is Badger Mole Cub. 1 in a green. It ETBs, you Earthbend 1, so you make turn one of your lands into a creature as haste, I believe, and is a 1/1 because it's a 1, Earthbend 1. And then whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. So this is nice, especially when you pair it with Kinnan. So now you have duplicate effects for Kinnan. I know Kinnan used to be seen play in a combo deck. So if you could put the Cub and the Kinnan together, you might have enough going on there to play that old combo deck. Basically, you would... I can't remember if that was the one that was trying to get to Luca to get a Troxa down, or they also had the option of just ramping into the Troxa. I think that's the deck I'm thinking of. So I might definitely revisit that next season, because that should be a pretty decent deck. The only downside is this is a mythic, so it's going to be very hard for me to get a full playset of this. So, but if I do, look out. That's probably a deck I want to try, just because I think it's a pretty reasonable effect. Kinnan's a very good card, so they should be pretty good together. Let's get number 3 on my list. So we have Thalia's Lieutenant for allies. It's a green and a white trample. ETBs put a +++ encounter on all allies you control. Whenever the ally enters the battlefield, put a +++ encounter on this. So it will get big. Every single ally comes down. So this is a very good card. This is probably going to be the reason why allies would be actually competitive, along with of course, the Mana Dork. I think I said that earlier. Now I feel like I'm doing deja vu. But technically, this is the best ally in the set. And I think this card actually is going to really push it as an archetype. If we have enough allies on Arena, combined with, the new and the old, to make a very good deck, I'm going to try it. But a lot of these are rares, the best ones at least from this set. We'll see how we do. I think for the most part it's Abzan, so maybe we don't need to have the blue or the red. So let me know in the comment section if you have an ally list that you're cooking up for Pioneer. And let's get number 2 on my list. Samaya, Scornful Striker, 1 in a black, 2/2 first strike. It's pretty good, solid base rate. It's an ally, so it also could work in your Abzan allies. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, they lose 2 life. So the only downside about this is probably going to be you might be playing Collected Company in your build, right? Because for the most part, your allies are 2-3 drops, so you're probably going to be pretty fine with that. Now, this card is really good into Phoenix, so they're going to have to kind of remove this right away. It's also pretty good into Lotus Field. Really, any kind of combo deck in Pioneer, you kind of want some number of copies of this in your sideboard or main board. I probably would go like a 2-1 or 2 split. 2 main, 1 2 side. It seems like a good number. Because for most of the time, this probably isn't a great card in any particular matchup, especially. Then again, First Strike is pretty good against aggro. Take that back. So against aggro, I guess technically you could just First Strike them, remove their body on defense, and then, yeah. And if they play against a Monstrous Rage, they just take 2. So, yeah, it's not so bad after all, I guess. So maybe you play the full playset. This also could work pretty well in a Orzhov Taxes deck. Not necessarily taxes, but kind of taxes. In conjunction with Thalia's Lieutenant. Thalia's Lieutenant helps keep this card alive. You get the removal and Thoughtseize from black from this color. So, yeah. That could be very well a possibility. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this card. Are you making Orzhov Taxes, or are you playing like allies? Let me know in the comments. So last but not least is the best card in the set. And no surprise, the best card in the set is Wan Shi Tong, Librarian. Now, this is a 2-drop, 1/1 flash flying vigilance. So it has the pay of X. Then you could enters, you put X +++1 counters on it. And then you draw half of that X amount of cards. And then whenever your opponent searches, you get to put a counter on this and draw a card. So this card kind of looks base for Mono Blue Devotion. So if you get a decent amount of Devotion, you can naturally just cast this. Probably for X is like 10. And then you just draw 5. So that's a pretty sweet interaction. The deck used to play the 3-drop. You probably just cut that, honestly. Can't remember what his name was. But yeah, he was a 3-drop in X. And you draw X cards. You probably just play this instead. So, because it's better on turn 2. Gadrick, I think. Yeah, I think it's Gadrick. So they used to play Gadrick. You could just play this instead. You draw half the amount of cards, but at the same time, like, sometimes you just play this on 2 to get your devotion up by 2. And then later on, you can cast a bigger one. I don't know. But it also helps against your opponent searching. So in Pioneer, there's not as much searching, I don't think. For the most part, you have Annex, you have card draw. But searching isn't as big as Modern is. So you also, of course, could put this in conjunction with, you know, blue card, Field of Ruin, Demolition Field, and force your opponent to search to get this bigger and draw a card. That's on the possibility, but this card should be pretty decent in the current format. Like, I don't necessarily know if this is going to be a control card. This might be a tempo card, I would think. So, I don't know if this can be put into Spirits. Spirits is a deck that kind of wants to play like this, tempo-y style. But let me know in the comment section what deck you're playing Wan Shi Tong Librarian in. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video and this channel. And comment down below what your favorite card is from the set. Overall, I think this set actually is probably going to be the best set since Dragonstorm. I think that's what it is. So this is the best set, I think, since Dragonstorm. So, like I said, let me know in the comments section what you guys want me to know. And I'll talk to you guys next time.